Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. So let's just continue with our last video. So before beginning to the video, I would request you to please subscribe to my channel and watch the video till the end. That gives me boost up to make up more videos, and we are making a lot of effort to give you the perfect content which you will be ready for your examinations, and all our teachers are trying very hard to do so. So please subscribe to our channel, that will give us motivation. So let's just continue with our video. So in the last video we have discussed about the reaction coefficient and etc. Now we will see about the homogeneous equilibrium. Homogeneous equilibrium. So tell me, what is meant by homogeneous equilibrium? It is nothing but the same phase. That means, say for example, we got solid, liquid and gaseous phases of reactions. Okay, so if all the phases, say for example reactants, reagent and the products all are in same phase, that means they are in solid, liquid and gas, then we say that it is homogeneous, and the equilibrium established by that particular reaction is called as homogeneous equilibrium. So consider one reaction where H2 plus I2 is in equilibrium with 2Hi. So hydrogen is a gas, everyone knows, and iodine is a gas too, iodine vapor, and 2Hi, it is also a gas. So this is the example of the homogeneous equilibrium. Now another example I can give: decomposition of PCl5. PCl5 is a gas molecule. Upon decomposition it gives rise to PCl3 plus Cl2. Both PCl3 and Cl2 are gaseous ones. Okay, so in a heterogeneous equilibrium we will take the heterogeneous ones. Remember one thing, so when we talk about the equilibrium, here basically we consider only the gaseous molecules. I will tell you why in heterogeneous equilibrium. Now we will continue what happens in homogeneous equilibrium. Let's see what happens to the delta n values. So what is delta n? Stoichiometry of the products minus reactants, right? So in this case, see, 1 mole of hydrogen and 1 mole of hydrogen reacted to give 2 moles of hydrogen iodide, which is an acid. So, and it is a gas. Let's see. Here 1 plus 1 2. Here also 2 moles are there. What about delta n? Products minus reactants, that would be equal to 2 minus 2. That is equal to 0. Delta n value is 0. Now we are understanding what is the delta n value means to the equilibrium. Next, delta n, in this case, here 1 mole of PCl5 reacted to give 1 mole of PCl3 and 1 mole of chlorine. So here at the reactant side 1 mole, but at the product side 1 plus 1. So we know the formula, delta n is equal to products minus reactants, that is equal to 2 minus 1, here 3. Here delta n value we got is 1. 1 is a positive value. Now we got delta n is equal to 0 and delta n is equal to 1. Okay, now we will understand what is the condition where delta n is equal to 0, delta n, what happens actually. Okay, let me erase this. Before that we should see one thing. Now we will consider this reaction PCl5 is in equilibrium with PCl3 plus Cl2. This is the reaction, decomposition of PCl5. We know here delta n is equal to what? 1, right? That is 1 minus products minus reactants, that is equal to 2 minus 1, that is equal to 1. Here we got delta n is equal to 1. So what happens when we increase the concentration of PCl5? What happens if PCl5 concentration increases? That means the reactants we are increasing here. So if the reactants are increased, the reaction move towards the forward direction, right? So in that case, remember, reaction coefficient is less than our Kc. This is the criteria for forward reaction. So what if the products concentration increases? That means PCl3 and Cl2 are either of the one. If we increase, then the reaction goes backwards. Then we say that reaction coefficient is greater than Kc. This condition, it goes backwards. So this one you have to remember. So before proceeding, I want to tell you one thing. I am not covering entire topic of the chemical equilibrium. So whatever it required for the particular examination like NEET and JEE, I am portraying that only. Okay. If you want the extra topic, please comment down below. I will do. And I wanted to do that concept covering the problems. I'll take problems and I'll explain. So in that criteria, we can complete more than 80% of the entire syllabus if you cooperate. So let me continue. So what is the reaction coefficient? We know that it is the equilibrium constant at that particular point of time. And we know Kc is the equilibrium constant itself. So see here, in this condition, Q is less than Kc, it is forward direction, it is backward. These 2 points you have to remember. Now we will come to the delta N values. So if delta N is positive, and volume of the container is increased, then it will goes towards the forward reaction. So I will explain why it is happening. First, remember the condition. If delta N is positive and volume is increasing, then the reaction moves towards the forward. So what if delta N is negative and volume also increases? Reaction goes towards the backward. So here we have to observe that in the both cases volume is increasing. So what does that mean? Volume of the container. If volume of the container increases, what is happening at that particular delta N value? Now, if delta N is positive, that means see when we got delta N positive, when the product's number of moles are more, we got delta N is positive and volume is increasing. So product formation is more here. So in this condition we say that it is going towards forward, right? Forward means what? See, A gives rise to B, it is in equilibrium. So it is the product we got, it is the reactant. If more number of products means products are at right side. So you can say that the reaction is going towards the forward direction. So if delta N is negative, in that case the reactant number of moles are increased here. So in that case reaction is going towards the backward and the volume we are keeping on increasing. So what does that volume is? Totally dependent. So we know that PV is equal to constant, right? Why? Because R and T are constant. We are keeping both R and T are constant. That is universal gas constant and the temperature we kept constant. Then PV will be constant. That means pressure is inversely proportional to volume here, right? So what happens if the volume is increasing here? Volume we are increasing. So volume increases, pressure automatically decreases. So if pressure is decreasing, remember if pressure is increasing or decreasing, then we should talk about the number of moles. Okay, I will be discussing on the effect of pressure on equilibrium. Till then you will make a note of these points where delta N is positive and negative. What if delta N is 0? I will discuss this later. What if delta N is 0? Then no forward, no backward. No forward, no backward. No forward, no backward. Okay. No forward and no backward reaction will happen. That means it is at equilibrium. You can say that this delta N is equal to 0 means the system is at equilibrium and there is no change. So these are the points you must remember. Now we will jump on to the heterogeneous equilibrium. Moving on to the heterogeneous equilibrium, one point we should discuss, that is effect of pressure. Why? Because we are considering the gaseous molecules. So definitely partial pressure exists. Now we will see what is happening. So see this example, PCl5 is in equilibrium with PCl3 plus Cl2. Okay, we know the condition where pressure into volume is equal to constant always. That means pressure is inversely proportional to volume. Now the point comes. So what if pressure increases? If pressure increases, the reaction moves towards the direction where there are less number of moles. So the reaction goes towards the side where there are less number of moles. That means pressure increasing means we are doing? We are applying pressure. So if we are applying the pressure, what happens to the number of moles? Decreases, no? Number of moles will be constantly decreasing. So let's see here. Now for this reaction I am increasing the pressure. If I increase the pressure, the reaction should go towards the less number of moles. Here 1 mole is there, but here 2 moles are there. Then the reaction goes towards the backward. No, PCl5 formation would be more if I increase the pressure. That means pressure increases, the reaction is going towards the less number of moles. That means PCl5 is preparing much. That means it is going towards the backward reaction. It is going towards the backward reaction. So what if you decrease pressure? Pressure decreases, more number of moles. Pressure decreases means it goes towards the more number of moles. That is forward reaction. That is the forward reaction. So this is the condition, right? Now we will move on to the heterogeneous equilibrium. So this point you have to remember. Very important. Right. We will move on to the heterogeneous equilibrium. Very easy. So after that heterogeneous equilibrium, we will move on to the Le Chatelier principle. That is highly important. So heterogeneous equilibrium. So in heterogeneous equilibrium, one example I take, that is calcium carbonate. Everyone knows calcium carbonate. It gives rise to calcium oxide plus carbon dioxide. Now tell me, calcium carbonate is a gas, right? Am I right? No, calcium carbonate is a solid, and calcium oxide is of course solid, and it is gas, right? And it is gas. Now tell me, what is the equilibrium constant Kc? Equilibrium constant Kc. I told you only we should consider the gaseous molecules. We should not consider other phase. Then Kc would be equal to CO2 concentration itself. CO2 concentration itself. That means if any reaction A is decomposing into B plus C and C is itself gas and remaining all are, say this is also considered gas only, then it is solid. Kc would be equal to concentration of B and concentration of C. That is the criteria here. Okay, so this is for the heterogeneous equilibrium. There is nothing much to discuss about it. So while solving problems, we will take the number of models and we will establish a clear relationship, right? So this is about the heterogeneous equilibrium. Now let us see the Le Chatelier principle. Someone says it is Chatelier, someone says it is Chatelier, whatever it is, let's discuss this. So remember, Le Chatelier at equilibrium, it is said that when you give tension to that particular equilibrium, so when you disturb that equilibrium, so that equilibrium will reversely it will react. That means, see for example, just like our Newton's law, for every action there is equal and opposite reaction. If you bring upon any change to that equilibrium, then that equilibrium will act to decrease that effect. Say for example, if you are given with more number of weight, say for example, if you are carrying 50 kg of weight, at particular point you will be saturated. You cannot lift that 50 kgs. You cannot bear that weight. What you will do? You will decrease. That 50 kgs. You will lift the weight by keeping aside or something else. Similarly, our reaction also, what it will do at equilibrium, when you bring upon any change to that equilibrium, then that equilibrium will act to decrease that change, okay, to counteract that change. Let's see what is that actually meant. Say for example, at equilibrium, consider this reaction, A is giving rise to B at equilibrium. So what if you increase the concentration of the reactant? Increase the reactant A, what happens to the equilibrium? That equilibrium will try to decrease that reactant concentration by converting into product. Understood what I am saying? So we have increased the reactants at equilibrium. So what does that equilibrium do? It will decrease the reactant concentration by increasing the product formation. That means reaction is going forward. Clear? Now, what if we increase the product concentration? That means if B is increasing, so what does that equilibrium do? It should decrease that product concentration, no? How it will decrease? By converting back into reactants. Whatever the products are formed, so it should definitely convert into reactants. Okay, then it is going towards the backward reaction. Very easy, right? So this is the counter attack done by the equilibrium. So now tell me, what is the effect of temperature on equilibrium? Let's see. Effect of temperature on equilibrium. Let us consider temperature then. We know ammonia formation N2 plus 3H2 is in equilibrium with 2NH3 plus some amount of energy is released, right? Plus some amount of the energy is released. Everyone knows that the reaction is famous. Now, see, what I am telling you is energy is released here. So, if energy is released, we call it as what? Exothermic reaction, right? We call it as exothermic reaction. Exothermic reaction. So, now tell me, already it is giving out some amount of energy here. Okay, energy is released and we are calling it as exothermic. What if you increase the temperature of this reaction? What if you increase the temperature? See, now we are increasing the energy. So it is looking like that the reaction is going backwards, right? Observe carefully. So for already exothermic reaction, we are not supposed to give temperature. Okay. So anyway, we are giving the temperature. What is happening? This energy is increased. That means products are increased. Energy is also one of the product, right? So the product concentration increased, then the reaction goes backwards. Right? The same thing. For exothermic reaction, temperature increases, it goes backwards. For endothermic reaction, we give the temperature, then only the reaction is going on. So if we increase the temperature now for endothermic reaction, I can write the endothermic reaction like this. A plus energy is in equilibrium with the product. So now we are increasing the reactant concentration. That means we are increasing the temperature. Then the reaction goes forward. So the reactions which are going on under room temperature and at certain temperature all comes under this type of criteria. Okay. So they are endothermic reactions. Only some reactions are there which are exothermic. We can point out them. Say for example, decomposition of calcium carbonate is also what? Exothermic reaction only. You can do this exothermic reaction in your home. You can dissolve that CaCO3 in water. Some heat is liberated. Calcium oxide you can take. That pellets you add in water and leave for some time. Then the water will be like heated. So this is about the effect of temperature. Now we have to see effect of pressure. So let's see effect of pressure here. Effect of pressure. We know this reaction. Again I am going to write this is same reaction. 2NH3. What about the delta N value here? Here 1 mole, 3 moles of hydrogen giving rise to 2 moles of NH3. 4 here, 2. Products minus reactants, right? 2 minus 4, that is equal to minus 2 here. So here the delta N value is negative. We have discussed what if delta N is negative and if volume is increasing. It goes towards the backward reaction, right? It goes towards the backward reaction. So let's just not conclude that. We will see what is happening if we increase the pressure. Now I will tell you one point. If you increase the pressure by keeping volume constant, I will erase this. We know that if pressure increases, what happens to the number of moles? Number of moles should decrease, no? So the reaction should go towards the less number of moles. So see this. N2 plus 3H2 is in equilibrium with 2NH3. So less number of moles. Less number of moles means, see here, reactants are more, but the product moles are down, less. So if we increase the pressure for this, kind of reaction, it goes towards forward reaction, right? It goes towards the forward reaction. Now, next point comes, that is, what if you add inert gas to the equilibrium at constant pressure and at constant value and variable volume. Let's see it. So if you increase pressure, you do increase pressure. Pressure increases and you are keeping volume constant. Pressure increasing and you are keeping volume constant. So if you add inert gas, then there is no change to the equilibrium. Equilibrium not affected. So observe carefully. We are increasing pressure and keeping volume constant. So see, the container is like this, fixed container. And what we are doing with the help of a piston here, we are increasing the pressure. But actually, if you increase the pressure, volume should decrease. But we said what? Volume constant. Even though if you add inert gas to that system, is there any effect? There is no effect, no? That does not make any sense. Now we will see. If we keep pressure constant and variable volume, and what if volume is increased? What happens? The reaction should go towards the more number of moles. When we add inert gas. After adding inert gas, then the reaction shift towards the more number of moles. How? We can say that pressure increases, less number of moles, no? Less number of moles here. So here we kept pressure constant and we increase volume. We know pressure is inversely proportional to volume. If you increase the volume, automatically pressure goes down. But we kept pressure constant. Even though we are increasing volume, then see, if the container volume is raised with the help of the piston, see, this is raised. What we can say? More number of moles will be there, right? So then the reaction goes towards the more number of moles. Okay. So this is all about the chemical equilibrium. There is one point which I have to discuss, that is physical equilibrium. Actually, I'll discuss it now. The last point, very short one, and I'll conclude this video. So physical equilibrium is one which deals with the physical state of the matter. Say for example, solid to liquid, liquid to gas. It does not deal or it does not involve any chemical reaction here. Say for example, if any solid is converting into liquid, so what can we say for solid? For solid, density is more density than liquid, right? In general, we know density is equal to mass by volume. So what about volume of the solid? Volume is less, but the volume of the liquid will be more. So now we can say that if we increase the pressure for liquid, so on liquid pressure is increased, then liquid is converted into solid. And if you decrease the pressure on solid, it will convert into liquid and vice versa. Listen carefully. See, in refrigerator, what we are doing? We are applying pressure on liquid. So that is why it is converting into what? Solid. Similarly, all the things. Now, for our ice and water, the criteria is entirely different. Now, why it is different, we will understand. We will take directly ice and water. So take ice and water you take. So the density of ice. So let's talk about the density of water here. So at 4 degrees centigrade, density of water is very high. So here we can write density is high. Here density is low. Density is low. And what about volume? Volume will be definitely more. And here volume will be less. Exactly opposite to that of what we have discussed here. So the ice and water system is the only system where you increase pressure on water. Ice is converting into water. And if you decrease pressure, it is again coming back into ice. So that is the condition. Why? Because at 4 degrees centigrade, water has the maximum density. So this is very, very, very important point you should remember. Exactly opposite of the normal system. Keep it in mind. Okay. So this is all about the chemical equilibrium. With this, I would like to conclude the chemical equilibrium. And I hope more than 60% of the syllabus is completed. And you can solve more than 70% of the problems with this concept. I will be solving more than 25 problems of chemical equilibrium. So don't worry about the problem. So upon problems, we will still solve the whatever the concept is left behind. So with this, I would like to conclude and watch the video completely. Why? Because it makes us more motivated and please subscribe our channel, like our channel, and that's it.